chapters 22 to 23. So what the hell is it right there? 20, I guess I don't want to review. So 22 to 23 today. Okay? That's going to be lymphatic system, respiratory system. Respiratory system's not too bad. Okay, so know what the lymphatic does. Okay, what does it do? So it's going to drain our interstitial spaces, right? It's going to transport our fat, soluble vitamins, and dietary lipids. Fat soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K. Okay, and it's going to carry out an immune response by fighting infection. Okay, so now all the lymphatic vessels, okay, they all start out as blind-ended lymph capillaries. You know, they got little slits in them. So the lymph capillaries are going to be intertwined with our blood capillaries. So the lymph capillaries will be intertwined with our blood capillaries, okay? So when all the waste comes out of our cells into the interstitial spaces, right, all the waste and cellular debris will go into the lymphatic capillaries. So lymphatic capillaries drain into lymphatic vessels, okay? Lymphatic vessels drain into trunks. The trunks drain into ducts. Okay, the main lymphatic duct, a lymphatic system is called the thoracic duct. Okay, so it's gonna get lymph, okay, from the left side of the head and neck, the left thoracic region, the left upper extremity, and everything from the ribs down, intestinal region and lower limbs. Okay, all of those, all that part of the body goes into the thoracic duct. Okay, right head and neck, right upper extremity, right thoracic area goes into the right lymphatic duct. Okay, so these are the trunks. So the left jugular trunk, right, is going to receive lymph from the left side of the head and neck, right? Think jugular vein, right? Goes down. That's going to go into the thoracic duct. Left upper extremity, right to your clavicle, right? It's going to be the subclavian trunk. Subclavian trunk goes into the thoracic duct. The left portion of the thoracic cavity, okay? Left bronchomedial-spinal trunk goes into the thoracic duct, okay? And then from the lower limbs goes into the lumbar trunk, intestinal area goes into the intestinal trunk, and then all goes into the thoracic duct. And from there, all those blood proteins go back into the left subclavian vein. Okay, so right jugular trunk, right head and neck goes into the right lymphatic duct. Right upper extremity goes into the right subclavian trunk, which goes into the right lymphatic duct, and the right thoracic area goes into the right bronchomedial-spinal trunk, goes into the right lymphatic duct. Okay, so you just look at the picture, right? Picture of the lady, and then it's colored, right? It's green and like orange. Okay, right. So no primary and secondary lymphoid tissue. So primary lymphoid tissue is the red bone marrow and the thymus gland. Red bone marrow is where we make B cells and pre-T cells. Okay, the T cells have to stop off at the thyroid gland, and they learn how to fight infection. Okay? Some B cells stop off at the spleen, and they become antibody-producing plasma cells. Okay? All right. So, secondary lymphoid tissue. Okay, it's going to be our lymph nodules, right? Our tonsils and adenoids. So anything we breathe in, okay, or ingest, okay, any type of pathology, pathogens, they'll take care of that. Okay, lymph nodes are secondary lymphoid tissue. These are going to be around, okay, along the lines of our lymphatic vessels. Okay, we're going to have clusters of these in our neck, under the arm, breast tissue, right, lower abdominal area, and groin area. These are bean-shaped tissue. Okay, another type of secondary lymphoid tissue, but it's the largest. Okay, it's the largest. It's going to be the spleen. Okay, it's right lateral and posterior to the stomach. Okay, the spleen we call the lymph node of the blood, because it'll help clean up or filter out our blood. Okay, so okay, the spleen has two types of tissue. It's got red pulp. This is where we phagocytose dead and worn out red blood cells, and also bacteria, okay, and platelets. Okay, so filter out bacteria. Okay, a white pulp, okay, is where our B cells are gonna divide or proliferate into antibody-producing plasma cells, okay? So think, right, a B cell, right, B lymphocyte type of white blood cells, it's gonna divide into those plasma cells in the white pulp. Red blood cells get phagocytosed in the red pulp, okay? So the same with bacteria, okay? All right, so we're gonna go into how we fight infection, right? So, the ability to ward off disease is called resistance, right? And if our resistance goes down, we'll be more susceptible to getting some sort of pathogen. The pathogen is a disease-causing agent. Okay, so pathology is the study of the changes that cells and tissues undergo during a disease state. Okay, so we have non-specific resistance. Okay, this is just keeping the organism out of the body. How do you not get sick? But don't let it in your body. So we have mechanical and chemical means. So mechanical would be our skin intact, meaning no cuts, no burns, no abrasions. Okay. Another mechanic would be our lacrimal apparatus, our tear ducts. Okay, so if it blows in our eyes, we start to tear, we flush it out. Okay, all right. If we have an upper GI tract infection, we'll vomit or throw it up. Lower, we'll get diarrhea to get it out. Okay, all right. And then if we have like a urinary tract infection, we'll urinate a lot to try to get it out. You know, those are all mechanical. Okay, the chemical means, right? We have sebum on skin that has antimicrobial properties. We have lysozyme, okay, in our sweat that'll kill like bacteria and stuff. We have hyaluronic acid in our connective tissue. We have stomach acid, which is like the pH is like 1 to 3, okay, and vaginal secretions are going to be slightly acidic also, okay, and saliva. We almost forgot saliva, about 6.7 pH, so that'll hopefully kill any microorganisms that might be on the back of the food that we eat this day. Okay, all right. So say we've breached that first line of defense. Any organism gets in our body. Okay, now we got to be more specific. We got to figure out what it is and how to kill it, right? Okay, so if cells get infected, like say by a virus, they give off a chemical called interferons. Okay, its chemical is called interferons, and interferons are going to warn the neighboring cells. They say, listen, we just got infected by a virus, get away. Okay, and this is like the basis for chemotaxis. Okay, so chemotaxis is important too, right? Chemotaxis is a chemical attraction. Chemotaxis is the chemical attraction of white blood cells to an area of infection. Okay? So if you're talking about phagocytosis, right? So what happens is, right, starts off with chemotaxis, right? The white blood cells go to the area of infection. The pseudopods come out, right? Those false feet and adhere to the organism. And we pull it into the cell, pull into what we call a phagosome. Remember the digestive system of the cell? Right, the lysosomes, they come and they attach to the phagosome, and those enzymes in there kill the organism. Okay, they kill the organism. All right? Just checking. Okay. So the branch of science, right? Branch of science that studies how we fight infection is called immunology. Right? All right. Like there's two types of immunity we have. Okay, we have cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity is always cells attacking cells. Okay, like our T cells. So T cells will attack cells that have been invaded by a virus, spontaneous arising tumor cells, and unfortunately transplanted tissue cells because they don't recognize it as being stuff. Okay? Okay. Antigen, antibody mediated immunity or humoral immunity. Okay, it's more like B cells attacking bacteria. Okay? Right, so the most abundant, so our immune system runs on an antigen antibody response, right? So the antigens are like those chemical ID cards. Okay, your cells have them. They means that they're supposed to be in your body. okay? But any other organism, okay, their antigens are gonna be different. So our antibodies will attack those, okay? So the most abundant antibodies we have, and we get these through the fetus, right? When you're a fetus, you get it through the placenta from your mom. Okay, those are IgG. So Ig means, it means immunoglobulin, okay, and they give it a number, so it's G. IgA is the second most abundant, you get that through mother's milk, okay, the colostrum in mother's milk, okay? But IgG, it passes through the placenta, okay? And then we have a couple different types of immunity. Okay, so that's important. Okay, so we have naturally acquired active immunity. Okay, this is when somebody coughs in your face or sneezes in your face. Okay, you're naturally getting, right? You're actively getting the organism in your body. You're getting the pathogen, right? Okay, so you're getting the pathogen. Okay, now you have to build up. You have to actively build up. So you're naturally acquiring, but you're actually building up your antibodies, okay? It's how you build an immune system, okay? So someone coughs in your face or something, or you touch something, you get the organism, you fight, okay? So when you build up those antibodies, now you're not gonna get that organism again, okay? Or you're not gonna get sick again. So just like in a rhinovirus, common flu, once you get it, you don't get that strain again, okay? Unfortunately, that virus keeps changing its code. But the rhinovirus is not gonna kill you, so nobody cares about it, okay? Something that's dangerous like COVID, well, they make a vaccine for that, okay? Smallpox, they make a vaccine for that. Okay, all right, so naturally acquired passive immunity, those are the antibodies that you get from your mom. So naturally acquired active, you make the antibodies. Naturally acquired passive, your mom gives you the antibodies, okay? Now we got artificially acquired active immunity. So you're getting it artificially. That's a vaccine. They're taking a dead version of the organism, a weakened version, so it doesn't colonize or spread, or they make it in the lab. Well, they make it in the lab, okay? So it's very, very close to that chemical structure of the organism, and they give you an injection. So when at the place of injection, like say it's in your arm, it might get sore. Okay, might get red, you might get a little fever, but that's your body attacking that organism there. It's not gonna colonize, so you're making antibodies. So now, if the real strain hits you, you're not gonna get sick because it's ready to fight it. You won't colonize. Okay, then artificially acquired passive immunity, okay, this is when you get an antibiotic, either orally or intravenously. Okay, that's it for chapter 22. Okay, now, chapter 23, the last chapter, okay, it's not bad. Okay, not bad at all. Okay, just know the flow of air going into the lungs and all those structures, okay? Okay, so first off, we got two lungs. What surrounds the lungs? Right, the pleurosacs. So remember, right, the thoracic cavity has three cavities. Right and left pleurosacs, and the pericardial sac around the heart. So the pleurosacs, the outside of the pleurosacs is the parietal pleura, okay, just like you have a parietal area on the pericardium, and then what actually touches the organ, okay, is the visceral pleura. So outside's parietal, right, inside is visceral. Okay, right lung has 3 lobes, left lung has 2 lobes, okay, but has a cardiac notch for the heart, where the heart sits. Okay? Okay, so when you can breathe in through your nose or your mouth. Now the air goes into the throat. What's the throat called? That's called the pharynx. Okay, it's called the pharynx. Okay, and then from the pharynx, that air is going to go through your voice box. Okay, voice box is called the larynx. It's called the larynx. The voice box is called the larynx, and it's made up of thyroid cartilage. Thyroid is right underneath it. Okay, so larynx is made up of thyroid cartilage. What do we call that thyroid cartilage? What do we call that? Adam's apple. Okay, everybody has an Adam's apple. Okay, now the voice box has your vocal cords. When it's stretched, right, it gives you a high-pitched sound. When it's relaxed, it gives you a low-pitched sound. Okay, so now from the larynx, it goes into the windpipe. Okay, the windpipe is called the trachea. It's It's made up of concentric rings, right, of cricoid cartilage. That cartilage is called cricoid cartilage. And then the windpipe or trachea splits into primary bronchi, then it splits again into secondary bronchi, and then it splits again into tertiary bronchi. The bronchi are made up of cartilage that's lined with epithelial tissue, okay? And they get smaller and smaller. Okay, now we're in the lungs. Okay, so now we're in the lungs, we go into bronchioles. Bronchioles are made up of smooth muscle, which is also lined with epithelial tissue. So the bronchioles will dilate, get larger, or constrict if we need more oxygen, okay? If it's normal, they'll constrict. If we're exercising, they'll dilate, so we get more air in the lungs, so we get more oxygen to the cells, so we can make ATP, right, for energy to run the body. Okay, so we go into bronchioles, terminal bronchioles, now we're getting microscopic, into respiratory bronchioles. Okay, now we're going into alveolar ducts. Just think of a bunch of grapes. The alveolar ducts would be like the stems of the grapes. They're hollow, but the stems of the grapes. Can they go into alveolar sacs? It's a bunch of grapes together on the stem. And then each individual grape is an alveoli. So an alveoli are little balloons. So when your diaphragm contracts and goes down, your external intercostal muscles pull your ribs up, air is forced in. So when air goes down into the alveoli, alveolus expand. Okay, now we have that air in there. So the air in there, right, all the oxygen will diffuse out of the alveoli now into the blood. As that's happening, all the CO2 on the red blood cells will diffuse out of the blood into the alveoli. Okay, then the diaphragm relaxes, internal intercostal muscles pull in, right? So you exhale. All the CO2 comes out with that air. All the CO2 comes out with that air. Okay? So what's around the alveoli are capillaries, right? The pulmonary capillaries. Okay? All right. Okay, so in the alveoli, right? In the alveoli, we have cells. So type 1 alveolar cells, type 1 alveolar cells. Okay? These are pulmonary squamous cells, okay? These are simple squamous epithelial cells. Okay, they're flat cells for rapid diffusion, right? Oxygen's always leaving, CO2 is always coming in, okay? Then we have type 2 alveolar cells. These are called septal cells. These are called septal cells. Septal cells secrete surfactant. It's a phospholipid chemical that prevents the alveoli from collapsing every time we exhale, okay? So every time we exhale, it's like squeezing a balloon, right? It wants to assume the smallest diameter, right? So we get all that air out, okay, and all the CO2 comes out. So we have type 1 alveolar cells, simple squamous epithelium. Type 2 alveolar cells release surfactant. The surfactant has phospholipids, made up of phospholipids. Okay. The last type of cells are called dust cells. These are alveolar macrophages. And these dust cells pick up any dust or any debris. Okay? All right, so if we have a hard time breathing, right? Difficulty breathing or painful breathing, what's that called? What's that called? Yeah, it's called dyspnea, right? D-Y-S-P-N-E-A. Okay, dyspnea. If we have rapid breathing, what do we call that? I call that tachypnea. Tachypnea. Okay, just like in the heart. What's a rapid heart rate? Over 100 beats per minute. Resting heart rate. Like tachycardia. Tachycardia. Okay. If we have low or slow respiration, right, or slow breathing, we would call that what? Bradypnea. Right. If we have a slow heart rate, right, it's called bradycardia. Okay. Okay. If we have normal breathing, we call that eupnea. Okay, and loss of breathing, right, is apnea. Loss of breathing, like sleep apnea, right? Stop breathing. So loss of breathing is apnea. Okay, what's another word for high blood pressure? Hypertension. Hypertension. Low blood pressure would be hypotension. Hypotension. Okay? And that is it for chapter 23. Is there any questions? Any questions on those two chapters? Or any of the chapters? Okay? It is, let me know. So, Right, so come in Wednesday, December 20th, try not to be late, okay? Just gotta get this test done, and other classes coming in. Okay, so all testing next week. So to be 9:30, come in 9:30, we'll be in the other lecture hall, unfortunately. Okay, test's gonna be on chapters 20, 21, 22, 23. I sent you those chapters, right, the PowerPoints, you have them, they are also up on Canvas. So all the homework that was due is all up on Canvas, okay? All right, don't miss this test, people still owe me tests, okay? So I gotta get the grades, so unfortunately it'll be a 0, okay? The last lecture's today. The lab for Tuesday was Tuesday, and for today it's today, yeah. Okay, so this is the last week of labs, so next week, no labs. Okay, next week, no labs. So next week, come in, next week, yeah, just come in on the 20th. Okay, just come in on the 20th, take your exam, have a great break, okay? And we'll see you in A&P2. So in lab today, I'm gonna go over the lab test, lots of you'll see again on the lecture test, and and then we'll go over those stages. Then you can go home study. Okay, so is, real quick, is Juliana here? Juliana Roque?